Don't
Although
think I've
this
gone this
passageway
way.
had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
I'm not gonna believe you. The bucket's gonna save me. Right?
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
No. I'm not gonna believe your lies. Is there anything over here? No. Oh. Maybe it's gonna be death? At least we're gonna go together, Bucket.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
Rude!
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
We're okay?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
We're okay.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Where's my bucket gone? Oh no. I'm sorry, Bucket. I thought something would happen. Oh, but we got the bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like the bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void. But through the use of the exhibition in front of you, the mind becomes full of enriched and substantiated knowledge of the bucket and its history, only true knowledge we really have. Take what you learn here out into the world. Will you accept with an open mind what might be challenging about the information on this exhibit? Will you change lives and be yourself and your loved ones as the result of this exhibit, or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? I just, I've got to do process of elimination, but it's okay.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Rude. I mean, the bucket was great. 25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever to be captured on camera. Photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. It's beautiful. It's truly beautiful. My bucket's in there somewhere. He's not dead. I refuse to believe it. So many places we can go. A bucket with 2 handles. This bucket is depicted as having 2 handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. It's way more than 25. Yeah. Yeah. definitely way more than 25. Can't jump. There's no jump button. Unless you're in the jump circle. Inferno Bucket. A replica of the Inferno Bucket, which is a medieval area, was so powerfully alluring that drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet, in spite of all of it, the simple fact remained: no one can control a bucket. God, which way do we go? So many ways I can go. Stress Bucket. Centered without commentary. Stress Bucket, an analogy, worry, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. All goes into the bucket. Vulnerability, size and strength of the bucket. Stress equals level of water in the bucket. Coping strategies equals holes. Rest and relaxation. Doing something you enjoy. Rest and relaxation. Okay. I'm liking all the history about buckets though. Cave drawings. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, what we don't know is by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. This is freaking brilliant. Oh god.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Yes. Yes. I agree, voice lady. There's a light over there, but I can't jump. No. The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However, clear out of our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, reality, is one of our own good. Oh god. That's the end of the exhibit. Should we jump down the hole? The only place we can go. I mean, that's a silly question. We've been playing Silent Hill where we jump down various, many holes all the time. Suppose so. Okay, wish me luck. Oh. No, I can walk.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
No. I'm dead. Okay, error. I broke the game. I broke the game. The game didn't know what to do. The game was just like, what the fuck? Ah, okay. Rude. I didn't mean to. Alright? Like, the bucket was too strong and they tried to crush it and they paid the price. Oh, they've added more sliders. I've just thought I was... Oh, they're really friendly, okay. Number 9. 6. Please adjust the slider until the number 5 becomes the number 9, okay. Please adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. Okay. Which of the 2 made-up words is most appealing to you? Ocabonnacle. Okay, a scrumtush. Scrumtush. I can say that. Please don't adjust the slider. Okay. Do you know what time it is right now? Yes. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Yes? What's the time anyway? Yes. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Yes. Help. No. Will you come back and visit me? Yes. Okay. What the fuck is going on? Does that mean I have to do that ending again because it didn't count? I don't think so. I think we got quite towards the end. Okay, we can skip this. Skip that. Done that.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Don't bucket. We gotta figure this out, mate. Like, there's gotta be a happy ending, right? I mean, the bucket exhibit, even though sad and tragic, was actually pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. I know
Stanley went around touching every... Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again. Not truly alone. Not with the bucket around.
I know it came your death, but... We gotta exhaust all
Stanley
possibilities.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I will go in the broom closet.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet.
No,
simply because
never.
I have no remaining... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Does that writing change? I want to see if it changes every time. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast. Money crisp. We've had that before. Alright.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover
So we
not
can't
an
go in the
indication of any
crusher.
human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence
when we
of the
chose the
bucket.
yes
Even
button
now,
to
in
turn
his
off
darkest
the
of
mind
hours, did the
control,
bucket's warmth and guiding light
we couldn't get the
pierce
happy
the
ending
dark
because
clouds of
apparently it
confusion and
didn't
chaos?
want the
It
bucket
would
to
be
leave.
with
I
him
remember that much.
always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
2845, right?
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer
Alright,
luck.
they combined
Was it
pizza
the bucket
bagels and
knew
cereal
all along?
commercials for that
Was
wall
the
writing.
bucket guiding him?
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, have
This
those
is
type
certainly
of
the most logical
commercials in the
explanation.
UK. Pizza bagels. I don't think we even have pizza bagels. What kind of crime is that? No, we do not even have pizza bagels. Not that I'm aware of. I've never seen them. I'm sure they taste like arse. They've your chocolates anything to go by.
The elevator raced downward,
They were
plummeting
called
towards an
bagel
unknown
bites.
fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him,
Thank you, Bucket.
reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right.
Thank you,
The
Bucket.
bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
It's a frozen pizza combined with a bagel. Okay. How do you cook them?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
If light is on, call exit 914 immediately. Okay, we're not going down that way again. That breaks the game.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
Even
secret
oven
did
and
this place
microwave
hold?
oven is better,
Stanley and the
okay.
bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
I love that me and the bucket are absolutely like one at this point.
Was the bucket under the
Could be
mind
not
control
there.
facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Trust no one but the bucket. Bucket is life.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this
There's 4
machinery
up
would
there.
never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
3. Okay, so that's 5. 1. 1, 2, 3. Over here. 4 is up there, and 5. I think there's only 5. This is gonna go horribly wrong, but we're gonna try it. Alright? Gonna learn. Are we gonna learn anything? I don't know. It's okay, Bucket. We got this.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Birds.
Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
And which bird do we choose? Swoopy bird or eagle bird? Eagle, swoopy. Eagle, swoopy. What do you think, Bucket? I mean, I'm kind of liking this. Swoopy bird. Flamingos.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Hey, happy ending? Oh. Hit the same button again. It forced me out. Forced me out.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Should we try it again?